Okay, so we are finally back to Pirkei Avos for the first time since June, and we are up to Mishnah number 6, and we are at a smaller crew than usual. A couple of the regulars were not able to show up tonight, so hopefully, hopefully there are enough people who are there who could participate. Okay, so we will begin as we usually do with the translation. Rabbi Yossi Omer. So this is chapter 4, Mishnah 6. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Kol hamachabed es Torah, gufo mechubar al habrios, v'chol hamachal es Torah, gufo mechulal al habrios. Anyone want to try translating? I don't know who is available to talk or not. If not, I'll translate.
I
Usually,
am available, but I can't translate.
okay, fair enough. Thank you for letting me know that you're available. Yeah,
I could try.
sure, go ahead.
Rabbi Yossi said, "Whoever honors the Torah."
Yep.
Not sure what gufo mean. I know it's like body, but
Yeah, so gufo, yeah, if you feel like this is a weird phrase, then you're right. Okay, so gufo literally means his body. I would say it is like atzmo, like he himself, Mukubad, all of Bios is also a clumsy phrase.
yeah, like he'll be honored through other people,
Yeah.
or
So here's the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the translation for a second. So as usual, we have the regular standard edition of the Mishnah here, and then up here we have the Kaufman edition, which is the more, I guess, accurate edition, and because it's older. So it says Kol Mechabedes Habrios. Sorry, Kol Mechabedes Torah Gufo Mechubar Min Habrios. That makes a lot more sense to me. So he is honored by people. Okay, we'll translate it as that. Okay, and then Kol Hamachal Torah. Go ahead.
whoever I guess desecrates the Torah, he himself I guess will be dishonored or desecrated by other
Yeah,
people.
desecrated is I think the most accurate translation. He himself will be desecrated by people. Yeah. Okay. Very, very, very strange Mishnah here. Okay, so what are the questions? Yeah, Lauren
What?
or
Oh,
whoever. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I guess what are the definitions? I guess what does it mean to be machabe the Torah or
Yeah.
machalal the Torah?
All right. What does it mean to honor the Torah? Okay. And then uh what does it mean to desecrate the Torah? Okay, and we'll say in this context. Um, yeah. A second. In this context. And then what does it mean? Wait, what? Yeah, what does it mean to be, I guess, honored by people? I think it makes sense. I guess you could say like, how exactly, will a person be honored by people? By people? Yeah, Reza.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if there was a difference between like the verbs to honor the Torah and like to honor people and then
So
be
it's the
dishonored.
same, which is strange. Yeah. So we can make that into a question as well, which is what what parallel is being drawn? I guess, yeah, I mean it's hard to even parse this question here, but let's put it this way. Clearly there is a parallel being drawn between honoring the Torah and people, and ditto for desecrating it. What is that parallel? Meaning, like, how is this a fitting result? How are these the fitting results of these actions? Yeah, Reza?
What people will be doing the honoring and dishonoring to the speaker or the subject, the person that is being spoken to. What group of people will be
Yeah.
honoring and
Okay.
dishonoring that
So
person?
who will be dishing out the
Who are the
honor
people?
desecration? Yeah. To the subject of this Mishnah. Yeah, that's good. Anyone else bothered by the I mean this almost feels like a Mishlei puzzle. Anyone feel bothered by the opposites? That's kind of
Yeah,
a
I
legal
also
term.
was wondering.
Yeah,
I was
how would you
thinking that this
express
felt like
McCutting?
Mishlei. I guess
Yeah.
how are they opposites?
Yeah,
No,
well, what is weird about the terminology that it's using here?
I guess Mechabed and Mechalel. I
Yeah,
guess like usually Mekadesh is the opposite of
exactly. Okay,
Mechalel.
good. Right. Okay. So so let's just say like this, which is how are the terms opposites? Okay. Usually the opposite of desecrate is sanctify. Okay. And the opposite of honor is what?
Maybe embarrassed or ashamed,
Yeah, I would say maybe disgrace.
disgrace. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because I feel like disgrace can have the implication of like external disgrace versus like the internal feelings. Yeah.
What's the
Honor.
Hebrew like opposite for usually
Yeah.
Mechabed?
So I would say just to put in the Hebrew here. So opposite of desecrate. I'm just gonna put in the Hebrew for all of these. Machalel is makadesh. And then the opposite of honor. Hold on a second here. Mechabed is to so the two terms here, I think mavaze is for degrade, mivaze, or I guess less common is migane, like gnus, lignai. Yeah,
Oh
Vanessa.
yeah, that makes sense.
It's a separate question. I don't know if we're done
Sure.
talking about this. Okay. Why do we care about being honored by people?
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Who cares if you're honored or disgraced? Okay. And just to I guess since this is the first Pirkei Avos shiur that we've had this season, so just to restate some premises here, is that the approach we've been taking here is that Pirkei Avos, unlike Mishlei, Pirkei Avos is primarily directed at those who are on a relatively high level and who are what we call a chassid in training. Chassid is an extra righteous person. So tzaddik is a righteous person. Chassid is an extra righteous person. And most of the audience here is people who are a chassid in training. We have found that these ideas, some of them can apply equally to everyone, and some of them apply like on a sliding scale. But here, I think Vanessa's question is most powerful if you assume that this is talking to the usual audience. So I say, who cares if you're honored or disgraced, especially if you're on a high level where you don't care about honor and you don't care about disgrace, right? Like if some idiot insults you, like I know that the guy's an idiot, and I know that that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, Vanessa?
Somewhat on the same thread. I know what honor is, like obviously on a level, but what does it mean to honor Torah and to be honored by people? Is it the same kind of honor? Is it
Yeah.
what are we exactly describing when we say honor Torah and being honored by people or lack
Right.
thereof?
Okay, so yeah, I think this is kind of what Raisa was getting at as well. So what is the parallel? Are these forms of honor and disgrace the same? And if so, how? Yeah. Yeah, Alex?
Who exactly are the people that would be uh like wait, maybe I'm misinterpreting. Yeah. So honored by people, specifically what kind of people? Like is it any people? Is it Jews? Is it
Yeah. So I think that is what we were getting at here. Who will be dishing out the honor? And let's just say like are these all people or people with specific qualities or relationships with Torah? Yeah, Reza?
I was going to ask something similar. Is this true? Like,
Yeah,
because it
that's a big
isn't,
question.
history says like it isn't, unfortunately. But
Yeah. Is this true? Aren't there lots and lots of exceptions on both sides? Right? There are people who seemingly, I mean, we don't really know what honoring and desecrating means yet, but presumably, I don't know. I can picture lots of ways of desecrating the Torah, and they're not necessarily going to be desecrated. Yeah. One other thing, which I think is a question that just mostly comes from the Hebrew, and I don't even know if this is a good question, but I guess the question, where am I going to put this here, is what what is implied by the expression, like his body? Okay, like, in other words, does this just mean the same thing as himself, or is there some reason why Rabbi Yossi phrased this as a reference to his physical body? Yeah, Vanessa?
What is this supposed to teach us? Like, what are we learning from this? To honor Torah?
Yeah,
Is it
okay,
like
that's
that
a good question
simple?
also, right? What's the practical takeaway, right? To honor Torah and not desecrate it. Okay, now I sensed an implicit
What's the Havamina?
yeah, right, exactly, right. So in other words, like, well, I would, yeah, what's the Havamina? And like, we know this. Desecrate, yeah, right. We know this. Okay, it's a mitzvah to honor Torah. Okay, and it is a sin to desecrate it. So then, like Vanessa said, what is the Hava Amina? I.e., what might we have thought otherwise? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot to paste this in the chat. I'll do that now. Okay, yeah. So anything else? I feel like those are the main ones. Let's just think about it a little bit more. Yeah, I'll add one more question here, which is where am I gonna put this one? I'll just put it here. Is what, if anything, is implied by the you say superlative all, right, or whoever, is this an absolute principle, or is it just being stated this way, for rhetorical effect? And the reason why I'm asking that is because I don't think every Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that we've done expresses everything by saying all. Like, that's kind of implied that, like, this is a universal principle. So if it's going out of its way to say everyone, is that like adding something, or that's just the way he said it? Yeah, Risa?
What is the time scale that this is
Oh, that's a great question.
or is
Right.
it like now? Is like does time factor into this at all?
Yeah, right. Okay,
It
that's
will
good.
be, and I don't know,
So
like in Hebrew, like if the or the future tense of that word is different from language.
yeah, no, that's a good question. So the language doesn't give us any clues. So I guess what's the time frame? Actually, I'm going to put that near the question of the truth question here. What is the time frame? How immediately or delayed is this? Are these results? Okay, all right, that was more questions than I expected. All right, let me paste these into the chat. I think this is one where we can try to come up with an idea on our own. As we've said, with Pirkei Avos, it's not like Mishle, where it's written for everyone. Yeah, Lauren?
This question isn't, I'm just thinking about the title. You said something with voodoo, wasn't there
Oh,
something?
yeah,
How does that relate to this Mishnah?
yeah, what I meant by that is, what is a voodoo doll? Is that whatever you do to the doll happens to the person.
Oh, okay.
So like, I was just, as soon as I read like, that the person's body, if you desecrate the Torah, your body will get desecrated. That's very, very like voodoo type terminology.
Got it.
More
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
sensationalist
yeah.
title. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. All right. Let's stop and think. And again, even with Pirkei Avos, it's much harder to come up with an idea, but I do think we can come up with approaches. So let's just call this ideas, intuitions, approaches, answers, half-baked insights. Yeah. Oh, there's a hidden question. I'm actually going to delay saying this question until either someone notices it on their own or until we No, I'll just say it now. No, because the reason why it's hidden. Oh, I didn't tell you the backstory about this. So I usually prepare for this year on Shabbos. Okay, so 3 Shabbases ago, I sat down, went through all of the normal commentaries, but I did not have my normal chavrusa. Preparation was okay. We got some ideas, but I did not feel ready to give shiur yet. So then 2 weeks ago, I sat down with my regular chavrusa and we prepared it and went through all the normal commentaries. And I still did not quite feel prepared. I just was not getting the usual volume of ideas or like directions that I usually get. Then last Shabbos, I sat down with my chavrusa again, and we went through a bunch of second tier commentaries. Second tier, not in terms of quality, but in terms of ones we don't usually do. Like I had to print these out before Shabbos to have, and we came up with stuff, and then I subsequently forgot everything. And so I'm sitting here hoping that like the ideas will come to me as we're going through, and so far they have. But the reason why I called this question a hidden question is because we didn't notice it until week 3. Okay, so the question here, and because only one of the commentators explicitly acknowledged it, so the question here is, I guess, to what extent is this limited to the act of honoring the Torah? Okay, meaning, is this even more true for someone who learns Torah or teaches Torah? Or is this only true for someone who honors Torah, but not for someone who relates to Torah in another way? Okay, or let me add something here. Someone who learns Torah or teaches Torah or observes Torah. Yeah, okay. So that's another question that we did not get. Yeah, Risa?
I had just written down, does honor the Torah mean keeping the commandments, or honor it is like talking positively about it with other people?
Okay, good. So I think that's where we're going to have to start here, which is we're going to need to have some working definitions of honoring and desecrating. So yeah. Right. So let's just try this then. Okay, right. So possible definitions for honoring Torah. Okay, so where do you say keeping, speaking about? Yeah. What else? Or if anyone has an idea, like for the whole thing, then
Loving?
Loving?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex?
Perhaps there could be like a literalist approach where it's like somebody who like pays to have a Torah made and stuff like that.
Okay, right. So like literally what's the word I'm looking for? Expending resources.
Patronizing, maybe.
What was that?
Patronizing.
Yeah. Yeah, I for some reason that word always bothers me because it has a positive connotation meaning and a negative meaning, right? Like you patronize a restaurant, that's a good thing, but if you patronize a colleague, that's terrible. Yeah, okay, so literally expending resources to make Torah, to elevate Torah, let's say. Or to make Torah or elevate Torah. Yeah, Vanessa?
Don't remember. I'll let you know if it comes back. Sorry.
That little fog. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm going to suggest we do. This is every Mishnah, it turns out, has its. Oh yeah, you remember? Go ahead, Vanessa.
Like being a Kiddush Hashem, like bringing honor to Torah by like acting in a way that like people are like, wow, that dude is like such a good Jew. Yeah.
Acting in a way that reflects positively on Torah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So, again, very much unlike Mishlei. I mean, Mishlei Psukim are different, but there are common like formats. What I found in giving this year, this is now the third year we've been doing this year, I think. Third year or second? I think it's the third year. Yeah.
I think this is 3.
Yeah, right. So like I found that there are certain Mishnayos that just are completely different in the kind of idea or the style of idea. Maybe it's because they're different authors, unlike Shlomo HaMelech, where it's all one person. But so what I'm going to just give a tip as we go through these commentaries here. I see at least 2 strands, okay, in the way that the classical commentators talk about this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on a quick tour of 4 of the commentators we usually do. And then we'll assess and see if we can explain one or the other or both, because there's a lot of overlap. Okay. I actually don't have them in order here. And I did not translate everything yet. Okay, so Rashi. Let's start with Rashi. Okay, so Rashi gives a background in Pirkei Avos. For some reason, there are there's different commentaries of Rashi. Okay, and Torah just did this fancy thing. When you look at the Rashi, I don't exactly understand all of the code here, but it'll put his regular, one version of his commentary in normal text, and then if there's a different version, it'll put it in like this box. Okay, so that just makes it easier to navigate. Okay, so I just combine the two here. So he says, one who honors the Torah. Oops, sorry, the Torah. Oh, we didn't ask. This is kind of I guess this is part of the question here, but what does Torah mean in this context, right? Is it what are the possibilities? One is what Reza was saying earlier, which is like the entire religion. Okay, what are the other possibilities here, Lauren?
Just like general, like wisdom, God's wisdom.
Okay, so wisdom in general. Vanessa?
Like Pshat Torah.
Say again?
Like the Torah, like the one you lift up in shul.
Okay,
like,
yeah. The physical Torah scroll. Okay.
Actually not what I meant, but also that, like, also just like
what do you lift
like
up?
the writings, like the idea, like the tangible ideas of Torah. I don't know.
I've
like
maybe seen someone lift up a scroll. I've never seen someone lift up ideas.
no, I'm trying to articulate that. I mean like the Tanakh, like the Torah, like not.
Do you mean like the written Torah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I
All
guess.
right. I think those are the i.e. the text. Okay, I think those are the only explanations here, right? So you've got the religion. You could say mitzvos also, included in that. I'll just say like including mitzvos, wisdom in general. Okay, fine. All right. So Rashi takes a firm stance here. Okay, for both of his interpretations. He says, "She'eno manicho lo al gabe karka lo al gabe safsal." He doesn't place it on the ground or on a bench. Okay, so Rashi's clearly taking the stance that we're talking about a physical Sefer Torah, a Torah scroll. Okay, then he says, Yishomrim, some say, Hamachabit Torah, that, some say that one who honors the Torah, he refers to the fact that he doesn't teach a student who is unworthy. Okay, Shneamar, as it is stated. So there's a pasuk in Mishnah here. Yafutsu mainosecha chutza. Your well springs will burst forth outwards. Somehow in my mind, I think that's a pasuk Chabad likes. I don't remember why. I think I heard that on a podcast over the summer. And I think I've heard from the Chabad rabbi of my shul at home. What was that?
Sorry, not important.
Yafutsu maynosacha chutza. So lahagun, this refers to a worthy student. Ve'in lazari mitach, but not to strangers with you. Okay, that's the continuation of the pasuk. L'she'enu hagun. This refers to a student who is not worthy. Okay, so Rashi is referring here to something that the Rambam codifies in halacha. So I just want to read the halacha. Okay, and we don't really do this nowadays for whatever reason. At least I'm not aware of people doing this nowadays. Im lamdin divrei Torah elo l'tamid hagun. We only teach words of Torah to a student. To a student who is worthy. Okay, and then the Rambam defines it. Nai b'masav, either one who is beautiful in deeds, olatam, or to I'll use Rabbi Moskowitz's translation. An even keeled. Rabbi Moskowitz was an evenly keeled person. Okay, that's not really a phrase. Which means like someone who lacks imperfections, even though they're not even though their positive qualities aren't yet developed. Okay. So then he says, Aval im hayaholech b'derech lo tova, but if a student were following a bad path, machzirin oso lemutav, we return him to the good. Umanhigin oso b'derech yeshara, and we conduct him on the upright path. Ubodkin oso, and we inspect him. The acharkach, and only afterwards, machnisin oso lebeis midrash umlandim oso, and only afterwards do we admit him to the study hall and teach him. Okay, now you can see from here, by the way, you can infer from here, we're not talking here about teaching one-on-one. We're talking about allowing him into the study hall, meaning like formally admitting him to the academy. Okay, so that's the philosophically it might apply even one-on-one, but he's only talking about like barring entry from these people into the base midrash. Amru Chachamim, the sages said, Kol Hashem Tamish Eino Hagun, anyone who teaches an unworthy student, Ilu Zark Evel Miraculous, it is as if he threw a stone at Merculus. Okay, so Merculus was a type was an idolatrous practice back then that the worship involved throwing stones at it. Shneimar, as it is stated, in another pasuk of Mishnah, Kitsur Evan B'Margema, like one who loads a stone into a sling. Kain Nosen L'Ksil Kavod, so is one who gives honor to a fool. And this is Mishnah 26:8. And then Chazal say, and there is no honor but Torah. Shneimar, as it is stated, Kavod Chachamim Yinchalu, that the wise will inherit honor. Okay, and that's also Mishlei 3:35. Okay, so again, just to summarize what we have here so far, Rashi has two interpretations. There's the not putting the Sefer Torah on the ground or on a bench, and then there's teaching a student who's not worthy. Okay, and you'll notice he does not state what the positive is. Or sorry, the first part, the positive is not placing on the ground or the bench, and the negative will be placed on the ground or the bench. And then honoring the Torah is refraining from teaching it to a student who's unworthy. And so desecrating would be teaching it to a student who is unworthy. Okay, I'm going to keep reading because I just want to go through. Maybe we'll do three commentaries right for now, because and then Rabbeinu Yonah deserves his own shot here. Okay, so there's this. Rambam is next, and then Meiri. Okay, so Rambam is very short also. Kavod Torah, honoring the Torah, hu shichabit sivuyeha, means honoring its commandments begalui, in public, zrizus ba'asiyasam, by doing them, by fulfilling them zealously. Okay, v'chabit hachachamim noseha, and honoring the sages or the wise people who carry the Torah. Okay, that's figurative. V'hasfarim asher hu beruba, and the books which were written about it. V'chein chilu haTorah hu b'shloshes devarim, and desecration of the Torah is in these three ways. Okay, so this, I think it's fair to say that this pairs with Rashi's first explanation. Okay, so you're talking about not placing it on the ground or the bench, and Rambam is extending that even more to fulfilling the commandments zealously in public, honoring those who carry it, and then this is really close to Rashi's. Okay, is honoring the books that are written about it, and he's extending it even beyond the Torah scroll, like even to books. Okay, then the last one's the Meiri. This is ChatGPT's translation here, but I'll translate on my own as I usually do. Rabbi Yossi Amar Kol Mechabedes Torah, anyone who honors the Torah, v'chule Mechabedes Torah shema'ater osav b'noam midosav. He honors. Actually, hold on. No, I'll read this anyway. It might be related. Shema'ater osav b'noam midosav. He crowns it or adorns it with the pleasantness of his character traits. Shezet vadai hu kavod Torah. This is definitely an honor to the Torah. Bihios lomdeha. Shout out to lomdeha. The sul sal v'naki. When those who study it, I don't know if this is a good translation. Study with humility and purity. Do I have the footnoted version here? No, I'm too lazy to get it. We went on a whole thing about this. Masul sal v'naki. I think it refined. I think that's what we ended up saying, is that that those who learn it are involves what I'm saying. This is an honoring Torah. I'd say it is an honor for the Torah that those who learn it are refined and clean of let's say like bad qualities. Bal mios nichvos, possessing respectable qualities. I say noble qualities. Possessing noble qualities. Va'azhu mechubar al brios, and then he will be honored by others. Kamamar hakasav, as it says, sal salaha usurum meka. Refine it, and it will uplift you. Like we explained in our youth in the Chibur Tshuva, which is a book he wrote when he was young. Kasav Yuma Perik Vav Halacha Aleph Ra'is and Ploni Shalama Torah Kama Na'im Masav Kama Mitukanim Drachav. So it says in the Gemara, you saw so and so who studied Torah. How pleasant are his actions? How upright are his ways? Ashrei Aviv Shagidlo Vashrei Rabbi Shalom Torah. Praiseworthy is his father who raised him. Praiseworthy is his rabbi who taught him Torah. And the opposite is with the opposite. As it says, anyone who honors the Torah, his body will be honored by people. Okay. I actually forgot one more thing as well. I want to quote from the Rambam in. This is really more paired with Rashi. Okay, but this is the Rambam at the end. Sorry, I meant to get this ahead of time. Okay, Rambam in Sefer Ava, Tefillin Mezuzah for Sefer Torah, last paragraph. So chapter 10, he says, there are a lot of halachos here, but I'll just do the last one. So this is in Mishnah Torah, Sefer Ahava, Hilchos Tefillin u'Mezuzah for Sefer Torah, Perek Yud Halacha Yud Aleph. Okay, so what does this say? Let me get this right here. Book of love, laws of Tefillin, Mezuzah, and Sefer Torah, 10:11. Okay, so it says like this: Kol mi sheyeshiv lifnei Sefer Torah. Anyone who sits in the presence of a Torah scroll, yeshiv b'kovid rosh uve'ema v'fachad, should sit with solemnity and awe and fear. Shehu ha'ed hane'eman al kol bai ha'olam, for it is the trustworthy witness upon all mankind, literally all who come into the world. Okay, I mean not just Jews. Shenemar, as it is stated. Oh, this is this week's parsha, one of them. V'haya sham b'chal la'ed. It shall be there for you as a witness. Okay, this is Devarim 31:26. V'yichabdenu k'vi kocho, and he should honor it according to his ability. Amru chachamim harishonim, the early sages said, kol machalas Torah, anyone who desecrates the Torah, gufim kol abrios, will himself be desecrated by people. V'chol hamachabed es Torah, and anyone who honors Torah, gufim mechubar al brios, will himself be honored by people. And in case you're wondering why the Rambam reversed the order of the two clauses, Rav Nachum Eliezer Rabinovich says that it's because he wanted to end on a good note. Okay, so because it's the end of the book and the end of the section. Yeah, okay. So now we got two strands here. Okay, we've got something about the way you treat the entity of Torah, which the Rambam extends to books and to the people and to the mitzvos. That's one thread, and then you've got another thread which has to do with midos, with your character traits. So in the Meiri's case, it is talking about if you have good midos and you learn Torah, then people will praise Torah and praise your Rav and praise your father. And the opposite with the opposite. Whereas Rashi says if you teach Torah to a student who has bad midos, that's what it's referring to. Okay, so the questions we want to ask here are, and actually maybe what I'll do is I'll post all these in the chat one at a time. Hopefully they fit. All right, there's Rashi. I'm just going to post the actual commentaries. Here's Rambam, and then let's see if Meiri fits. I bet he's not. Nope, won't fit. Okay, so we'll do Hebrew first, and then the English. Okay, so let's now just have a little aim here, which is approach number 1, Rashi, Rambam, yeah, I guess Rashi A and Rambam. And then we have approach number 2, which will go Meiri, Rashi B and Meiri. And I don't mean to say that you have to pair these ideas together, but I just do think that that there is a similarity here. Okay, so what do you say? And we might have to get into this idea here of why do we honor the Torah scroll, and what does it mean that it is a trustworthy witness upon all of mankind, and you have to sit with awe in front of it. I know that that for reasons that are like not intrinsic, I know that women have a lot less experience with the actual physical Sefer Torah. But do any of you who are here have any experience of like feeling this awe, of like being like needing to like have I don't know if any of you have a Sefer Torah at home or whatever. I'm just curious, like.
Well, yeah, yeah, I don't have that much experience with Sefer Torah, but on Yom Kippur we have a minyan in our house, and
Yeah.
we keep a Sefer Torah in our living room, and I definitely feel like kind of weird, like, when I'm in that room and just going to sleep, so I get associated with Yom Kippur, so it's like
Yeah, that's interesting.
sanctity for
That's
the
even
day.
better.
But it is interesting, and also I find that Hachnasa Sefer Torah, it's kind of like a very special thing, but it's like sometimes it's like hard for me because it's like this is a Sefer Torah, it's a Torah scroll, but like we're dancing and stuff like that, so it reinforces the honor.
Yeah,
to
that's
it.
that's a good point. Yeah, my experience is, when I taught at Shalhevet, then we used to have a Shabbaton, a retreat every year at the beginning of the school year, and usually I was the one who had to bring the Torah to the retreat. And so, the way that the Torah is usually carried is we wrap it in the tallis, in a bunch or a couple of talisim in the the prayer shawl, and then I would put it in my trunk, which always felt very awkward because it almost feels like putting a person in the trunk. Like this is such an intrinsically valuable object that like valuable is the wrong word, but like revered object that putting in the trunk feels weird. And then I would drive it there, and then put it in the Aron. But then the one Shabbos, sorry, the one transportation experience that I found most I don't know, like that where I felt this halakha the most was I think I had to drive back on a Saturday night, and I couldn't drop the Torah off at the school that I borrowed it from until Monday. So I asked for Pesach. I said, should I leave it in my car because locked in the car is, in the trunk is safe. And he said, no, you have to bring it into your apartment. And so I was like, I like cleaned out a closet and like created a space for it in there. And then like I remember I hadn't told Johnny about it, my brother about it before. And so I as I came in, I said, Johnny, we have a guest, and I brought the Sefer Torah. And it does have that feeling of like I mean, again, I don't want to sound like I'm not saying this in a superstitious way or in a like mystical, it feels like a living entity, so I'm just like thinking about this phrase here that it should be for you as a witness, and I don't even know if we have to explain that to get the idea, but just wanted to convey that. Yeah, Vanessa?
I didn't remember until you started your story about driving the Torah, but I forget the exact situation. It was back in Queens College like 5 years ago, and COVID has muddled a lot of those memories, but we
Yeah.
had to drive the like Queens College Minyan Torah all the way to a nearby shul. And like the process, I don't even think we allowed it to be in the trunk. I think like it was like a big car, and like we had to have some of the men like there holding it like while sitting
Yeah.
with it and
Yeah,
guarding it
you're,
and
you're
sure it
right.
didn't drop and like yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Also,
I actually, yeah, go ahead.
the other thing is I don't know if every Ashkenaz shul is like this, but you guys just cover it with a cloth, right?
Well, there's like a there's a, I don't know how you describe it in English. It's like a little outfit that you put on it.
It's not, no, but it's not a
Yeah.
giant. We have armor, okay? It's like a giant heavy cylinder. So like
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I
you have like a
do
case.
not like participate in like the reading or the carrying or whatever, but like there's
Yeah.
always a moment where they're like doing Hagbah, and there's like, especially in like youth minyans, like when I was younger, like a 12 to 18 minyan, where
Yeah.
like the boys were holding it and there's 7 little like Persian boys scrambling to make sure it doesn't tip over now because it's
Yeah.
so heavy. And
Yeah.
like everyone in the room just like it's extra quiet for a minute because you're all just like,
Right.
like Torah has to be
Yeah.
really careful, and like this is such an important moment.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely yeah, just to fill in the facts here, what Vanessa was referring to is, there's the part before the Torah reading for Sephardim and after the Torah reading for Ashkenazim is you lift the Torah up and you show it to everyone, and there's always certain like heart-stopping moments where someone like stumbles or like their hand buckles and there's this feeling of it falls, which is bad. And by the way, Vanessa, you're right, is that the halacha is if you're traveling with it like on a wagon or like on an animal, that's the way that they talk about it, you have to hold it. So I asked for Pesach, like I said, like I'm the only one driving, like I can't hold it while I'm driving, and then he said you can put it in the trunk. So yeah, okay.
I wasn't putting any halachic aspersions. The trunk might have just been full. I just remember like the delicate moment of like having someone sit down and be ready to like hold it, and like the look on his face, whatever.
Right. Okay, so the question here is, how does honoring the Torah in that way cause you to be honored? And especially if you go with Rashi. I mean, Rashi is, it's tempting to take Rashi and like expand it to all of the laws about honoring the Torah, because I think that's what he might mean. But he gives this particular example: don't place it on the ground or on a bench. So like, what's the deal there? Yeah. Oh, you know what? We didn't ask. We did not ask who is the intended audience. Okay, is this for everyone, or for a chassid in training, or is it a spectrum? Yeah, Lauren.
I don't know if this is a full idea, but I guess I'm just thinking about like when you're physically honoring a Torah scroll and giving the honor to it, how is it that your body will be honored? I guess I'm kind of thinking about like if you treat this thing with respect, you might also realize like I guess I'm kind of thinking like the opposite, like the Havamina might be that like, why do I need to treat this is just like a scroll? Like the ideas are what's really important. It's why do I need to be giving so much honor to this item? It sounds a little bit like avodah zarah in some senses, that we're giving all this honor to an object. But I'm thinking about it like, well, no, like this is the idea, that the ideas come from this Torah Shebechsav. This was what we received from Moshe, and it's like a way of like ascribing. You want to ascribe honor to it, maybe because human beings kind of need sometimes you need some attachments, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're showing respect to this Torah. And then I guess with your body too, like your body, I think of the idea that we might have learned in other contexts about how like your body is a vesicle for doing mitzvos. And like, I think like Esty Lichter said in her, shiur Sunday night, like the body is a vesicle for the soul or something like that, or I forgot the exact analogy she said.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so she said like the body, the soul is inside the body, so it's like you need to keep your body healthy because it contains the soul. So it's kind of like it's kind of like that idea that you need to respect your body also because you use their body to serve God. So that's how you'll end up being honored. It's more of like a physical honoring of the body.
Okay, so let me, before I call on Reza, I'm just going to take down the what Lauren is saying here. Okay, so first step that I like is the Hava Amina is, why do I need to honor the physical entity when the ideas are the important thing? Okay, and there are like there's a midrash. I mean, there's probably more than one midrash, but the midrash that I like that really exemplifies this. I think this is like well known. I don't think this is like a revolutionary idea. Is when I forgot which of the 10 martyrs was killed by being wrapped in the Torah scroll and then burned alive. Then the guy who burned him, the Midrash says, he saw the letters. The scroll was burning, the letters were flying up into the air, which again, this is it's a Midrash, so it's not literal. And so I've heard that idea is that the ideas are not the physical Torah. So like you don't think you can like get rid of Judaism by like burning the Torahs, So that's the Havamina, okay, and then therefore the Mishnah teaches you that we are physical / psychological beings, and even though our minds relate to the ideas of Torah, we need to cultivate a relationship on the physical, like psychological plane, in order to, I guess, solidify and reinforce our relationship with Torah. Okay, so that's like step one. Okay, and then Lauren had a separate step, which is that the way, I guess, a person who would make this mistake of downplaying the physical in a Sefer Torah, So Lauren, were you suggesting that like that is gonna correlate somehow to the way that they regard their own physicality in relation to their soul?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it doesn't really necessarily, now that I think like this through right now, it might not, if you don't honor the Torah, it might not necessarily be the case that then you'll end up disrespecting yourself. But I guess I'm just saying, like someone who relates to, I guess if you think that it's all about ideas and that the physical is totally worthless, then like you're so caught up in the spiritual, I guess, or the non-physical, then yeah, you're going to relate to your own body in a similar way of
Okay, so let
downgrading it.
me just redirect you for a second here, which is that I don't think there's a need to go in that direction to say that about how you're going to relate to your body, because the Mishnah says that other people will honor your body or other people will desecrate your body.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So why don't you think about that? I'm going to call on Reza now, and we'll see if that builds on this or if Reza has a different idea.
Yeah, so the idea of honor being a desirable thing is interesting. I know I heard in a recorded shiur by Rabbi Chait, like he was talking about honor and how like it's not a major objective, and like that's why like ideas aren't always broadcasted out. I forget which one it was, and this was a while ago.
Yeah.
But the goal is more like perfecting yourself and not like receiving honor by other people.
Right.
So how does that relate to this? Like how
okay.
is
So
honor like a desirable thing? Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's a good that is a good question. I think that just reminded me of the idea that I came up with. So that's good. Okay. So let's I'll just give let's see if we can let me just convert these into two questions then. Okay. So we have one question which is, how does this mistake cause other people to desecrate your body, and how does fulfilling this cause people to honor you? And then we have the other question, which is, why should we care about people honoring or dishonoring us? Okay, good. The idea came back to me. Okay, good. Whew. That's a relief. Yeah. So what do you guys say? Yeah, Reza?
I wonder if this is somehow related. I always think about like the idea of working to cultivate like the right kind of society, sort of like what the topic of last night, like if honoring is somehow related, like creating like a group of right minds or people who have like a mind capable of understanding,
Yeah.
and the honoring is like part of cultivating that.
Yeah. I think that's the right direction.
Might be a stretch.
No, I think that's the right direction. Yeah. And this mission is talking about a society, right? Like it's gonna have like a ripple effect. Yeah, Lauren?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about based on that. Like if other people see you, like the Talmud Chacham in your community, giving so much honor to this Torah, then they will also like lead them to, I guess, honor you because they see that you're also like a vessel for Torah.
Sorry, I hate to do this. I just need to pause the recording. I'm just getting a phone call from Johnny who is flying in from Morocco, and I just want to make sure that I need to get this. Hold on. Pause. Okay, sorry. I did not pay attention to anything you were saying because I was distracted by the phone.
Yeah, it's okay. No, I was saying that if other people see you honoring the Torah, then you're the Talmud Chacham of your community, then they'll be inspired to also honor you because you teach them Torah.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so I think that's good. And then now what about Race's question about why should you care about honor?
Well, you shouldn't, but it might lead other people to then appreciate the Torah.
Okay, good. All right, so I think this is the idea here. All right, so let me say the idea, and then I'll type it out. Okay, so the thing is like this: should a person care about honor? No. Really, ideally, a person should just care about the ideas for themselves and for the Torah itself. However, we live in a society, okay, and I'm just laughing because that's a Seinfeld reference. We live in a society, and people are moved by the physical and by the psychological. Okay, so the person who is very involved in Torah that Pirkei Avos is talking to can easily lose sight of that and forget that. Okay, and not like, excuse me, because to him Torah is the ideas. So if he takes a book, a sefer, and he leaves it on the ground, to him it's nothing because let's say he has a halakhic, there's all these halakhic. I meant to look at this before shiur, but like, the average religious Jew will not put a book on the ground, not put a sefer on the ground, but from what I've been told and from what I've seen, the Briskers do, So I've heard various arguments for why. One argument, for example, is that yeah, you shouldn't put an actual sefer on the ground because it has Torah, but the cover of the sefer is not actually part of the sefer, so you're not actually putting it on the ground, So you can make, and I've heard other arguments like this. I've heard someone told me, I don't know if this has a basis, said that, no, we only honor the actual sefer Torah because that's actually a halacha, and if you start honoring other stuff, then that dilutes the honor of the sefer Torah because now you're giving its honor to other stuff. People make all these arguments. But the point is that let's say you have a book and you put it on the ground, and you put it on the ground because to you the ideas are the main thing, right? But the thing is like this, is that you've lost sight of the fact that people do care about this stuff. And if you don't care about it and you're doing things that are perceived as like desecrating the Torah, so people are going to respect Torah less, or they will respect. In other words, either they will respect you less because they perceive you as desecrating Torah, or they'll respect Torah less, and then over time you're going to contribute to a society where people don't value Torah and people don't value Chachamim. And why should you care about that? Because only in a society where people value Torah and Chachamim will people actually learn Torah. Like, Moshe does not care that people honor him. He's more humble than any person. But if people honor him, then they will learn from him and they will look to him for guidance. And if people disrespect him, then they will ignore Torah and it'll break their connection. So in other words, the whole Mishnah is designed to talk about how, like, you have to play the game. I hate to call it a game, but you have to like be in tune with the wavelength that the average person is in tune with. And it matters. That's why these things are halachos. That's why there are halachos about like not just like leaving the Torah on the ground. We are psychological beings, and even if you've gotten over that, everyone else hasn't. And if you don't cater to that, it's going to affect their relationship with Torah, which is going to affect what you're trying to do. So you can't claim to love Torah and value it if you're actively doing things that make people disrespect it and make it lose its influence. Yeah, Reza?
So it's kind of like the person is like the guardian and protector of the ideas. And this might relate more to the second approach. But it matters so much that the person who's like the gateway to learning has good mitos or character traits, because they like they're an entry point for people to be drawn to the ideas. The ideas have inherent value, but because we're human beings, like we see the person as like a signpost for the ideas. And one of the first burning questions I had when I started learning was like, why have I never encountered a lot of these things before? And it's like, if I've probably, walked past a lot of books in a library without ever realizing it, but it's like, until you meet somebody who represents ideas well, like you're never gonna really give them a second look.
Well said. Yeah, okay. So let's segue. I do think that there is a relationship between the two ideas. Let's segue into the second idea. So just say one more time, because I wasn't my mind wasn't ready for it again. Say why you
so a person, and I'm now trying to relate this to like the idea of the gates, because that kind of stuck with me a lot. But like
from last night, you mean, from Tillen?
Yeah, like we like three times in a row, like the idea of the gates being open. But it really matters, like the person who, like a teacher is, if that's someone's first encountering of the ideas which have inherent value, it really matters that person has good mitos or character traits, so that they attract the right kind of people, I suppose, like people who are able to learn. So if you're a person who is going to be like the guardian of the ideas, it really matters that you present well to the world and are respectable.
Okay, that's really good. So this actually works for both Rashi and the Meiri, which is so it's important for a Torah teacher to embody and represent Torah well, so they attract the right kind of people, meaning i.e., the teacher and the student should have good mitos. Okay, and actually I did not quote this from the Rambam, but the Rambam actually in the next halacha, after the qualification for the student, he says the same thing about the teacher. He says, "V'chein harav she'eino holach b'derech tova." So too, a teacher who does not follow a good path, meaning ethically, afal pi, or in terms of character traits, afal pi shechacham gadol hu, even though he's a great wise man, v'chol ha'am tzrichim lo, and everyone needs him. Ein mislamdin mimenu ad shiachzor lemutav. We don't learn from him until he returns to the good. Shneimar, as it says, ki sifsei kohen yishmeru da'as. It uses the term guardian. Because the mouth, the lips of the priest guard knowledge, and they seek Torah from his mouth, because he is an angel of God, of the God of legions. Amr Chachamim, the sages said, Im dome harav l'malach Hashem tzvakos. So the sages interpreted that pasuk to mean that if your teacher is, resembles an angel of the God of legions, Torah yivakshu mipihu, then you should seek Torah from his mouth. Im lav, and if not, al yivakshu Torah mipihu, then don't seek Torah from his mouth. So you need a good you need a chain of good representatives here. Yeah. And I'll just say, like, because if those who are involved in Torah teaching and learning have bad mitos, it will turn people off, which will ultimately harm the cause of Torah. And this is the thing, is like, it is a problem that plagues, I don't even think this is unique to the Jewish world. I think it's a problem that plagues academia also. People who are highly accomplished intellectually, some people are prone to bad character traits of being haughty or being a jerk, or like, being entitled, or whatever the thing is. And so those people tend to rationalize, thinking it's okay to have bad character traits. And what this Mishnah would say to them, I think it's similar to the message we just said here, is you claim that to live a life where Torah is like the most important thing. Well, why are you acting in a way that turns people off to it? Like, you're actually harming the cause that you claim to like champion, So it really is essential that you have these good mitos, even if you hold that having imperfect mitos is fine, which is not true. Even if you hold that, you can't claim, like, let's say you just say that the only thing that matters is your Torah scholarship. So then why are you acting in a way that is going to turn people off to Torah scholarship, or prevent people from seeing Torah scholarship? And I do think, just to reinforce what both of you are saying here, is I think this is now the parallel makes a lot of sense in terms of why it expresses it this way, is the way you treat Torah is the way people will treat you, and the way they treat you will be the way that they treat Torah, and the way they treat Torah will be the way they treat you, meaning it's a negative or positive feedback loop, and that's why it uses the same terminology. And we're explaining mechanistically that it works the same way. Is like if you say, oh, people's emotions don't matter when it comes to how they relate to the Torah entity, so then you're discounting people's emotions, and you're gonna represent Torah in a way that does not appeal to them emotionally, and then it's gonna break the chain. Yeah. Okay, that's good. All right, should we do another one? Let's do another. I think it takes care of two of them. So let's do Rabbeinu Yonah now. Okay, and I'll preface this by saying we did not figure out Rabbeinu Yonah. The way I experienced it, just to give you a heads up here, is he starts talking, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And he keeps going on, and you're like, yeah, good, I agree. And he keeps going on, okay, this is great. And then by the time he gets to the end, you're like, are you even talking about the Mishnah anymore? Okay, so here's what he says. And again, I have the ChatGPT here, but I'm going to read and translate my own. Ezehu kavod Torah. What constitutes honor of Torah? Shelo yanich svarim b'karka. Don't put the books on the ground. V'lo yeshiv b'safsal uv'kisei shehem omdim kenegdam b'shaveh. Okay, so this is something that the footnote goes haywire about. This is either a unique position that Rabbeinu Yonah has, or it's a rejected position. He says, you're not allowed to sit on a chair parallel to a Sefer Torah. Okay, when my Chavrus and I were learning this, we thought it meant like if it's on the same level as you on the same bench, because then it's like you're sitting on something that the Sefer Torah is on. So I'm not going to get to the details here. Okay, just don't sit in a way that is disrespectful to the Sefer Torah. V'hacharet al divrei Torah, also someone who is fearful to not transgress words of Torah. Umachabit osav eslam deha, and honors it and those who learn it. So far, same as the Rambam. Shadavar yaduahu mehachreach psukim. It is something that is known from the psukim. V'hasvara nosenes, and logic dictates. Shekol mi shemedaber tov ala tovim v'al chachamim. Anyone who speaks, who says good things about those people who are good and about chachamim, shemuchazakim bo shu tzaddik. People will assume that person is a tzaddik. So in other words, if I praise tzaddikim and chachamim, people will assume that I am a tzaddik. V'chol hadan osam l'kachova, but if I judge them unfavorably, v'cholik b'maasehem lomar she'enam mechuvanim, and if I dispute their actions and say that their actions were not with proper intentions, or they were not directed aright, ve'inu roy lahem zchus, and I don't see any merit to them. And if people speak, if people speak about the wicked in my presence, then I justify the actions of the wicked. Then it's known that someone who speaks this way has an element or an aspect of evil in them. Don't have any doubt about this. This is the test you can use to discern the hearts of man. Okay, meaning if you look at what they talk about, if they praise tzaddikim, you know that they have good values, and if they vindicate and justify Rishaim, you know that they have evil in them. Pasuk Shalom yesh lanu al zeh. We have a full pasuk about this in Mishlei. Shlomo alav shalom amru. We're quoting more Mishlei pasukim tonight than Pirkei Avos. Matzrif l'kesef v'kur l'zahav v'ish lefi mahalalo, which means a crucible for silver and a melting pot for gold, and each man according to his praises. Chlomar, meaning to say lefi mashu mahalal, meaning what based on what he praises. Meaning the pshat is you take a crucible which has and then you take like the gold or the silver ore which has impurities mixed into it, and you melt it down, and it refines it. It separates out what the real pure metal is from the dross. So too, you can tell by what a person praises what his true values are. Even though it's written Varashem Yireh Levav. Okay, so this is a case in Sefer Shmuel when Shaul had been had the kingdom taken away from him. So Shmuel was sent by Hashem to go find a new king. So he said Hashem told Shmuel to go to the house of Yishai. So he went to Yishai's house, and and that's where, you know, there was David Melech, who was the youngest, and he had a bunch of older brothers. And then Shmuel saw Eliav, who was like this really like impressive guy, I guess tall and broad shoulders, and he assumed that that was the guy that Hashem chose. And Hashem basically said, no, that's not the guy, because he's not worthy. Man can only judge by the appearance of the eyes, but God is the one who sees hearts. Okay, and he was talking about how like Eliab's heart was not fit to be king, whereas David, who was the youngest, was fit to be king. Okay, so in other words, even though it is written that God is the only one who sees hearts, okay, meaning that we can't see them, hu b'inin haminus b'daber, that's talking about heresy. She'ein koach adam lahavchin b'chavero im hu min. You cannot tell if your friend is a heretic. Because those are things that are hidden in people's hearts. But when you hear their words, they sound like believers. Okay, so you see what happened? You started off like the Rambam, talking about like honoring the Sefer Torah and stuff like that, and then if you honor those who keep Torah, and if you speak well about tzaddikim, people will think you're a tzaddik. And if you speak badly about tzaddikim, people will think that you're not tzaddik. If you speak well about Rashayim, people will think that you're a Rasha. And don't be in doubt about this. This is a surefire way to test people's hearts, and you could tell their real values by what they praise. There's a whole pasuk in Mishnah that says that based on what they praise, you could tell their values. And if you're going to challenge that from a pasuk in Shmuel that says that only God sees hearts, that's about heresy, because you can't tell if your friend's a heretic, because that's something that's hidden, and they might look like a believer. And you're like, Rabbeinu, you just like took me like all over the place, you know? So the question is like, you know, how is Rabbeinu Yonah learning the pasuk? Like, is all of this really necessary for the pasuk? How's he learning the Mishnah? Is all of this necessary for the Mishnah? If so, like, how? And if it's not necessary, like, why did he go on this tangent? And like, what is the way he's learning the Mishnah? Yeah, Vanessa?
I have a question. I don't have an answer. Doesn't the ending, maybe I misunderstood it. You just scrolled down, so let me make sure I didn't just like misunderstand something. If the thoughts of heretics are hidden in their heart, then you can't tell the outsides from the insides. Then why are we learning this in the context of, oh, we're supposed to judge people by how much they praise Torah outwardly?
No, so so he's saying that you could tell people's values, but you can't tell if they have heretical ideas.
Okay, fine. So it's
fine. And you remind me when you said scroll down, I forgot to read the rest of the Rabbeinu Yonah. The rest of Rabbeinu Yonah says his gufa mechubad al habrios, his body is honored by people. Min shamayim misayin sheyachabdu habrios. From heaven, I guess heaven will assist him. Will help ensure that he is honored by people. Achar shehu mechabed es haTorah, since he honors the Torah, v'oseh hadvarim shezacharna, he does the things that we mentioned. Uvechilufein amru, and regarding the opposites, they said kol mechal es haTorah gufa mechul al brios. Anyone who desecrates the Torah, he will be desecrated. Yosar elu hamagali panim b'Torah. Worse than this is someone who Magali panim literally means who exposes faces of the Torah. ChatGPT says who distorts the Torah of Omer and says lama hutzach lichtov v'timna haisa pilegesh. So this is a whole other topic, which is there is a Magali panim b'Torah is like someone who basically says that the Torah has like rich content, and then there are things that were like added that don't have any meaning, and they were like added later, and says that there's no point in having those things in the Torah. So that's like desecrating the Torah. Torah. So that's an additional interpretation. I'll copy this for the chat also. Yeah. So what is Rabbeinu Yonah getting at here? It's just like, and again, I did not figure this out. Here, in fact, let me just merge these two on the screen, and then zoom out. Yeah. What is he getting at here? And again, I'm not expecting this to be a radically different idea from what we did before, because he does say the same thing as the Rambam, about honoring the physical Sefer Torah and then honoring the people, and the students of Torah. Yeah, Reza?
Is like a heretic or heretical ideas meaning like false interpretations of some like actual truth, or just
I don't know what Rabbeinu Yonah means by it, but generally when we talk about minus, about heresy, we mean beliefs or teachings that are contrary to fundamentals of Torah. So, for example, teaching that God is physical, or that the Torah is not divinely authored, or that that there's no such thing as the world to come, or reward and punishment. So, like fundamentals that are distorted. Yeah, not just any false ideas. Yeah, Vanessa?
Maybe the line that's sticking me is but when he's quoting Sefer Shmuel, but
Yeah.
I wonder if he's saying like you can't, if we're talking about our early idea of like, oh, like people who put the books on the floor, like you can't say, oh, but like their hearts are pure and like they know that Torah is not just physical, it's purely like spiritual. You can't like just assume that. Like you can't just say Hashem looks at the heart. He does that for like heretics and to make sure that you're not going in the wrong direction, but the converse doesn't apply in that sense.
Okay, that's good. That explains the relevance why he's bringing it in. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, like if you have to have a Torah, like your inside should reflect your outside. Like you should be able to like manifest. You know what I mean? Like even like a little kid has like the chinuch to like kiss a Torah. Like
right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there definitely seems to be a similarity between this and what we said before, which is that people will make inferences about you based on how you treat the Torah and things associated with the Torah. But I don't know why he has to go. The move that most befuddles me here is he starts talking about Torah and then mentions honoring students of Torah as just an example, but then he goes full on into like the way you talk about tzaddikim and rashaim. That's the part that I don't know why he has to like go so full into that. Okay, well, I'm going to make an executive decision here. So I had prepared one other commentary, which is the Maharal, who took a very different approach here. I actually do not have the wickedness to devote to doing the Maharal justice. So I think what we should do is go through our questions and make sure we answered all of them, and then call it a night. Okay, so quick review, which is the two approaches we had here are related, which is that the first approach is that the person who the Mishnah is talking to is someone who's going to be prone to downplaying or disregarding the psychological way and physical ways that we honor the Torah, and they'll be justified in part because that's not the essence of Torah. It's not the parchment, it's not the object, it's the ideas. But if they do that, they will forget how other people relate to the Torah, and other people do care about this, and this will affect the way that they relate to Torah. So the person who makes this mistake is ultimately harming Torah by doing this. And what's going to the first way it's going to manifest itself, not the first way maybe, but the canary in the coal mine is people will stop respecting you. Why? Because they don't respect Torah anymore. And whose fault is that? Is people like you who are not championing Torah in a way that has meaning to the masses. I mean, I don't know the history of the Hasidic movement that much, but I get the impression that this was one of the problems, is that you had a bunch of like ivory tower Jews who were very, very knowledgeable about Torah, but they weren't adequately transmitting that awe and reverence to the average Jew. And so the average Jews kind of like had their own reaction to that, and that's where the Hasidic movement got its like emphasis on like dancing and singing and and simple faith and all that stuff, so like that's a big consequence, and it ended up harming Torah, because the original Hasidic movement, with the exception of Chabad, there was a huge anti-intellectual, anti-study impulse in the original Hasidim, and so like that ended up harming Torah, all because of this. Okay, so let's that was one idea, and the other idea is that you are a representative of Torah and an ambassador of Torah. So if you don't have there's something I guess I wrote about this in a way last week on Friday, my Friday article, which is that you are representing God and God's values through your own character traits. So if people are turned off to that, then they'll make assumptions about the Torah itself, and you won't be able to bring them into like introducing them to these ideas. So let's see if we answered our questions. Question 1, what does Torah mean in this context? So we ended up saying it really means everything. But our first idea had to do with the physical Torah scroll. And actually, we didn't even include in here also Torah scholars. Okay. What does it mean to honor the Torah in this context? So honoring the Torah, either, just to define honor, which we didn't really define, I would define honor. I'll just write this here. Definition of honoring as an act. Okay, I say verb. Honor verb. Okay, is I would say to speak or behave toward someone or something in a manner that indicates your admiration and high and the high value the high esteem you hold the object of your honor to. Okay, not the most eloquent definition, but that's what I mean. So you behave towards something in a way that like communicates that I hold this to be a great thing, okay, or an esteemed thing. So what does it mean to honor the Torah in this context? Anything you do that accomplishes that, right? So so all following all the halachos, not putting it on the ground, like Lauren was talking about a hachnasa sefer Torah of like when you buy a new one, you have a whole celebration to like dedicate it. What does desecrate the Torah mean? So I think this actually does okay, well, it's desecration in the sense that you're treating it as mundane or as ordinary. So I think desecrate is a good word. How will a person be honored by people? So we said that is that they'll honor you because they see value. Because you're honoring Torah, and you're holding up Torah as this high thing, and you represent Torah, then they'll honor you for that reason, and the opposite. How are the two terms opposites? So yeah, it's true that these things are usually usually the opposite of Maharal is Makadesh, but here we are talking about the act of honoring, and the opposite result is people will treat the Torah as mundane, as chulin. So I think it is a fitting word. What is implied by the superlative of all or whoever is the way we're explaining it. This is a guaranteed effect, meaning not necessarily in the immediate, but over time, this is going to wear down on the aura and glory that Torah has. So I think that it's absolute enough. Like whatever you do to dishonor the Torah, like let's say like you drop a sefer and a 5-year-old kid sees it, okay, and you just leave it on the ground, it's going to affect that 5-year-old's honor of Torah 1 iota. You are definitely doing that, and any amount of it is going to contribute to like pushing the Torah to be more honored or less honored. So I think that answers that. What is implied by the expression of his body? Maybe his person is a better is a better example. And we said that it is because you are a representative of Torah, or you embody the glory of Torah by being someone who studies it. Again, that answers number 8 as well, about what the parallel is. Who will be dishing out the honor? All people, right? Especially the average person who cares a lot about this. Who cares if you're honored or disgraced? You should care. If you care about Torah, you will want the Torah to be honored so more people learn it and benefit from it. So yeah, that's why you should care. You shouldn't care for your own egotistical reasons. Is this true? Yeah. The way we've explained it is true. If people have bad midos, people do get turned off to Torah. And if people disrespect the physical book, then it will affect things. I'm trying to think of an example of this. I mean, I still grew up in a time when people said the Pledge of Allegiance in class every morning. I get the impression that in certain places that's not as big of a thing. And I think it does, I mean, it's a form of indoctrination, but it does like cause people to have respect for the country and the flag in a way that I think people don't have now as much. So like if that's true for the flag that has no content, then certainly for the Torah. Yeah, Lauren?
I guess I'm also thinking about like a time, like let's say like my mom, she's very like if she sees a sitter on the floor, she'll always pick it up, even though and she is from, she grew up from, but I still feel like even if she doesn't necessarily have like the most educated education or whatever, or most knowledgeable connection, like her connection to Judaism isn't really based on knowledge, it's more based on like family and stuff like that. I still feel like that reverence for the book makes something, and then that leads her to appreciate the Torah. So I feel like
Yeah.
in like a general community, if you give these books honor, I think that does transmit down to your children, and also in the whole society.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, that I think addresses the time frame thing, which is that there's no set time frame, because it's not like this is going. It's not saying if you put a book on the floor, then the next day they're gonna smear your reputation in the papers. Like it's talking about like a long-term effect, and it could even be multi-generational. Yeah, Vanessa?
Just in a similar vein of this idea, when I was in, I want to say like second grade Talmud Torah, like very traditional, like casual school, we were learning like Siddur, like Modeh Ani. We had these like laminate like Siddurs, which were like Modeh Ani and the Shema, and like maybe Kiddush for the boys, like really
Yeah.
like minimal content. But I still remember to this day, one girl had like, instead of putting it down, because we learned like, hey, you're not supposed to sit on the Siddur, or like you're
Yeah.
not supposed to put it on the table or whatever. She took it, and we were all like, okay, obviously we're gonna leave it on the table. But like this one girl took it so seriously and like asked the teacher, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Can you hold this for me? And the teacher brought us all around and was like, look at Nicole. I still remember that it was Nicole, even though I don't remember what she looks like. Like, look at how much she loves the Torah and how much she like covers it. And like I remember having this feeling of like, whoa, Nicole is so cool for doing that. And like I'm
Wow,
20, I was maybe 7, and I still remember that. So
that's
like,
amazing.
yeah, like that's it.
That's an amazing story. That really is a great example of the system in action. Yeah, and like that's the type of experience that like I never had and never witnessed because I was not a kid who was Jewish. So it's really cool. That's like good chinuch, good early childhood education in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay. Is this true? I think yes. I think we've established that it is true. Okay, what's the practical takeaway? Okay, so I think this should be obvious, but anyone want to express what they're gonna do to take away, like how they're gonna have a takeaway from this? Yeah, Reza?
I think if I had to summarize the takeaway, it would be don't forget that like you should aim to be a physical manifestation of Torah ideas in like the human realm, like the human world, and
Yeah.
that you represent it. And like it is a feedback loop, like you said. So eventually, like you or whoever you pass on your ideas to will be perceived in the same way as you perceive the
Okay.
ideas themselves.
Great. Very well said. Yeah. Vanessa?
This is very in line with Reza, but also like your cover for Torah isn't just about you and Torah and God. It's like
Mhm.
also what you do manifest to other people and people around you, even when you don't think it is or when you think no one's watching. So
Yeah.
the more you cultivate that awareness of, oh, I need to be the Torah, not just for like my sake and for my chinuch purposes, but for the sake of like the way I act around other people and cultivate that awareness for other people and don't desecrate it.
Yeah, great takeaway. Yeah, that's good. My takeaway is that I was out of high school, or was not in a high school setting for what are the years now? 3 years? 4 years? 4 years. Yeah, for 4 years. I can't. What are the years now? I can't remember now. I'm so tired. But anyway, now that I've been back since last year in a high school setting, and not just high school setting, but it's K through 12. I'm just not teaching the younger grades. Like I have a higher degree of cognizance that like I am around people who are very, very impressionable in terms of their relationship with Torah. And I think for me, it's not as much about doing things that are perceived as disrespectful, but I think it's about going out of my way to do things that are perceived as respectful, even when I don't have to, because whether I know it or not, students are looking towards me to like as an indication of like how we're supposed to behave towards Torah. And so I think I have like a responsibility, and I think it's easy for me to make the same mistake that I was talking about in the Mishnah of like, yeah, for me the ideas are the essence, and like that's all that matters, and like who does this really matter? And the answer is yeah, it matters for younger people especially. Yeah, Lauren.
Yeah, I think I also have always like related to like especially like the Sefer Torah with like a little bit of like paradoxal because I feel like it's like obviously Torah is important, but I didn't connect so much to the dancing around and the
Yeah,
honoring so much because it feels sometimes it's like avodah zarah like
right.
worshiping a book. But then now I was just thinking about it, like it is actually coming from a cold, growing up in the primitive societies where people worship idols. We're giving honor to what are we giving honor to? We're giving honor to a scroll with words on it, and those words
Right.
represent ideas.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, yes, it's like, yes, we are respecting this object, but this object contains more meaning by the fact that it has words on it, and those words, make idea, sukim whatever, et cetera, make the ideas. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like an elevated. We're giving honor to something that has value. It's not like a avodah zarah because it's not a meaningless object. It's something
Yeah.
that's deeper.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. Also, I had not thought about the fact that about what this must have been like honoring the Torah in a world where people honored physical idols, and this is like we're redirecting that to. Yeah, Vanessa.
You were talking about walking around the high school and that giving you like an extra awareness of like how you needed to conduct yourself and stuff. And it reminded
Yeah.
me of like silly, but like I'm connecting to this thing and I think it's helpful. Like there was some place where like a place where people would normally jaywalk across the street, like not even think about it. And there was this
Yeah.
little kid who was like supposed to like either push the button or raise a flag. It might have been a Japanese kid, I could be wrong. But she just wanted to walk across, and the mom was like trying to teach her, like, no, like you can't, like you have to do a thing. And all the adults were like in the middle of their commute, they like did not need to do this, all stopped and waited for the light and like raised their hands and went
Oh,
across,
wow.
particularly
Nice.
to model it for the kid and
Yeah.
to show, okay, there's like a system of rules and like we follow them and that's important and you have to like and yeah, you might have the thing of like, oh, and I'm adult, I know how the rules work, like how it looks on
Yeah.
the outside doesn't matter because I know to look both ways. I know, but like that doesn't matter because if you're
Yeah.
not acting the right way, the kid's not like you affect the people around you and you cultivate this sense of like, oh, it doesn't matter, and then accidents happen. Like it can
Yeah.
lead to the wrong type happening down the line.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, just the societal we're part of a system. Yeah. All right. So I think we got good takeaways here. To what extent is this limited to the act of honoring the Torah? Is this even more true for someone who learns Torah or teaches Torah? Yeah, the way we've interpreted this, it really is just about honoring the Torah, right? It's not about learning the Torah. It will affect learning the Torah, but it's and look, if someone sees you learning Torah, that itself is an honor to the Torah, but we don't care about the learning here. We care about like what honor it's bringing to the Torah here. So it makes sense that it talks about that. And then who's the intended audience? It is for everyone, but it's especially for someone who is a Torah leader, who people are looking to. And I think Torah leaders are more prone to the mistake of forgetting what it's like to be an average person. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave you with just one question, which I kind of raised when we were going through this. And I want to look into this this weekend in the Parsha, that the Torah is a witness. The Torah scroll is a witness for all who come into the world. Any quick ideas about what that might mean? It's an aid, a witness. And I'm asking this also just because I want to know how it might connect to the honor if possible, but I'll settle for just an answer. Yeah, Lauren?
I don't know if it relates to like the idea, maybe because like the ideas were eternal and the ideas were there when the world was created. So
Interesting. Yeah. So meaning like it's always been watching.
yeah.
Okay, I hear that. Yeah. I mean, I'll just say on a simple level, right? What a witness is someone who perceives the truth. Okay. And so what does it mean that the Torah is a witness on all humanity? The Torah is, God's will and for the design of a human being and how a human being should live. So it's like, the Torah is the Torah, so to speak. Again, I'm anthropomorphizing it. The Torah knows what we were designed as and what we're supposed to be, So when you sit in front of the Torah, it is almost like a, again, I don't mean this in a literal sense, but it's almost like what do you call surveillance device from God, that the Torah knows how you should be living, and therefore like treating it as such that like I am being scrutinized, my behavior is being looked at in light of the Torah. That is a healthy emotion, so it is like the in that sense like the eyes of God. I mean, again, I don't mean that in a literal sense because God doesn't have eyes and doesn't need things to see it, but like in a sense, it embodies God's the wisdom of God for humanity. And so like that is should it fill you with a solemnity and awe and trepidation. Yeah. Okay, this ended up being a very practical idea. I'm glad. Okay, good. And there was another Maharal idea that I didn't get to, but that's fine. There will be more time to learn in the future, God willing. Okay, so next week, no shiur, because it's Rosh Hashanah. The week after, probably shiur. I don't see why not. It is because it's during the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. Maybe we won't do Pirkei Avos. Maybe we'll do some Yom Kippur topic. And then the week after that, no shiur because of Sukkot, and the week after that, no shiur because of Shmini Atzeres, and then November after that. So we got, yeah, that's the lineup. Okay, glad you could come make it tonight. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Bye.